Hello, Daisy Cakes. This is Daisy X Machina, the drag queen detective who investigates all things speculative in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. And this is a Get Ready With Me where I get into drag to film a video later today. And we have, of course, Lynette and Frank. Thank you both for joining. And as usual, how is your reading going this week? I finished the House of Open Wounds, the second book in the Adrian Tchaikovsky Terrence Philosopher trilogy. Loved it. Um, Again, this trilogy isn't a continuous story arc. You can read them as standalone. So I'm not in a hurry to get to the third book. So I want to take a break from it anyway. So I read a middle grade. What did I read? The something and the Hotel Thief. Anyway, it won the Edgar Award, and I don't really recommend it. Something Keys and the Hotel Thief. I might recommend it if you're a kid that likes mysteries, but for adults, I don't recommend it. And of course, I started Slam, the 1941 Hugo nominee for the Retro Hugo for 1941. And so far, I think I've read it already. I'm having this huge deja vu. I'm like reading it and I'm like, this sounds really familiar. But I can't say for 100% that I've read it or I've read something similar, but I'm having this it's about a deja vu. Have you ever done that? I mean, if I did read it, it was, God, 45 years ago. So I don't recall picking it up. I do not recall picking it up, but the story is so familiar to me that I think I probably did. So, but anyway, I was a little bit worried because the E. Doc Smith book, the writing was so overwrought, and I had, uh, it was a challenge for me to read the entire Lensman book. But this one, I don't have that trouble at all. I'm like, okay, I shouldn't worry about reading these old books because uh, the writing may be difficult or not difficult, but so old fashioned that's hard to get into. Because I don't have that with Burroughs or Wells or a lot of the writers, but the E. Doc Smith made me a little bit worried. I love the so far. I'm only like 30% into it, but so far I love Slan. Or I am that might be too strong of a word, but I am enjoying Slan quite a bit. Oh, over at City of Ghosts by V. Schwab. Right. Yeah, it's an okay children's ghost story. Not my favorite, but it's okay. 3.5 out. Yeah, I agree with that. Deja vu all over again. Have you guys seen that? I remember I got a book from, and this wasn't even like a book I read decades ago. It was like a book I read like a year or two earlier, and I bought a new copy of the same book I had bought a year earlier, and it was like the second chapter or something. I was like, wait a minute, I've read this. I've read this. Unfortunately, the bookstore let me return the book, and I got a different one. But ay ay ay. Okay, so I haven't really thought too much about a look today. So I'm thinking about purple. I haven't done purple in a while. Let's just do a basic purple eyeshadow. Yeah, I think I filmed Shove It or Shove It for, God, it's going to be June already. No, May. So I have the April one done, which I'm going to release um, this week. I'm going to film the May one today. I still want to do a film on Anne McCaffrey. I just haven't got my act together on it. Oh, another book called City of Ghosts, this time by Ben Creed, murder mystery set in Leningrad, 1951. I did it once, but I hated myself for it. I'm buying the same book twice. It really portrayed the fear of living under Stalin regime very well. Yeah, the history of communist Russia is, with Trotsky and Lenin and Stalin and all that. It's very odd. Okay, let's. Very odd, very scary. And of course, we think it could never happen again. We're living in interesting times. Life Under Stalin was horrible. Oops. Read all 3 volumes of Gulag Archipelago in the 70s. Incredible reading experience. Huh. I've started Mockingbird by Walter Tevis. Sci-fi. It was on my TBR list, and I jumped it up to the top after seeing a YouTube review on it. That makes me happy. I mean, I know it wasn't my review, but just knowing that people are making decisions, or that tube or booktuber does have people getting books recommended through your channel. Okay, let's go really light. Read Mockingbird years ago. Loved it. Unique sci-fi. I have not read it. I haven't even heard about it. Only read one chapter, but it was an interesting chapter. Another one by him about morphine addict, also good, but can't recall the title. Oh, you wrote The Man Who Fell to Earth. Okay. He only wrote 6 novels. The Hustler and Color of Money. Hmm. Okay. Okay. There's been also The Queen's Gambit about chess. All still in print. That's impressive. Only 3 of his 6 novels are acidic. Sci-fi. So half of his writing was sci-fi. This is Queen's Gambit, the Netflix show. That was really fun. I had no idea it was a novel. Okay, let's blend this now. My cat just walked in the room. I'm keeping an eye on her because she's not feeling well. So she's sometimes she needs attention when she's pretty sure it's just a stomach ache. His other sci-fi novel was Steps of the Sun. Netflix show that um, British miniseries I was raving about, Adolescence. Apparently, I'm not the only one that thinks it's a masterpiece because it's been getting a lot of press. Sure, if I was going to put black down here, I think I am. Just a little. He didn't write much because he was an alcoholic and couldn't write while drunk. I don't want to know, Frank. I can barely write while not drunk. Plan to read a book about the Marquis of Lafayette this month. I barely read anything the past 2 weeks and feel so much better. Sometimes you just need to take a break. Okay. Have you heard about the new Snow White by Disney, the live action? It's really getting panned in the reviews. Watch it if it's free on TV at some point. But I haven't been a big fan of those live action remakes. Hey, Mooney's here. Welcome, Mooney. Should read the one about the Marquis de Sade. After the silly woman said that the French should be grateful to the USA because they would be speaking German, on social media I have been mentioning how much France helped the USA. I haven't heard about the I don't know what's going on in the world anymore. During the War of Independence, I thought I should read a bio on Lafayette. Yeah, I haven't heard about this idiot woman. Have a job in 10 years. Trump's press secretary. Oh, that woman. Yes, she is an idiot. Jobs are important. I work. Okay, so yeah, I'm just going to do a basic um, purple and silver. Oh, this. Yep. Should have used real midgets instead of CGI yeah, it's like, why mix CGI and live action? Like they should have just done like Shrek and just made it all CGI. Lafayette was very young at the time, at 20 or 21. Or they can just do special effects like the Hobbits and Lord of the Ring movies were not really that short. There's ways to make the illusion. Listen. Part of the complaint for the Snow White is trying to update it for modern times, which has been done before. So it's been done well. Do you ever see that one with Sigourney Weaver as the queen? It's almost a horror retelling of Snow White. But obviously not Disney appropriate for Disney. Okay, let's brush off the bake. What was the lifespan back then? Around 40 or less? Maybe Arista is like, well, even when the lifespan was 40 or 30 something or whatever, it's not like they didn't have old people. It's like there certainly were people that still lived to the 60s, 70s, even 80s. It's just that it was a lot rarer. But it wasn't like they didn't exist. Hey, Tim, thank you for getting me back into SF. I'm currently reading Empress by Karen Miller. Oh, Empress. Yes. Thank you, Tim. And Empress is, of course, what I say is a anti-hero book. And you really just need to read Empress, the first book in that trilogy. The whole trilogy is fine, but that's the most impressive of the books. Haven't studied the French Revolution or the War of Independence since I was at school. Lafayette was involved in both. Plenty of people live beyond four. Yeah, life expectancy was low because of the high infant mortality rate. Took class on the French Revolution in college. Oh, that's interesting. It went off the rails in no time at all. Turned it. Yeah, that's what I've mostly know it as, being like really a lot more savage than any other revolution in that time, like the American Revolution or whatever. Oh yes, Tale of Two Cities. Best of times, the worst of times. Yeah, I love Great Expectations. Like Oliver Twist, David Copperfield. There's a lot of Dickens I really have enjoyed. Well, the worst one though, I could never. I think I had to read it in college. Was Bleak House. Do not like. Do not like Bleak House. Enjoyed. Absolutely hated Bleak House. Over dramatic. Or the Empress. Thank you. But hopefully not the Empress that Karen Miller wrote about. Okay. Character in Bleak House was so sickly sweet. I actually don't remember the main character. It was like, weren't there two orphans or something that was supposed to inherit the? I like the whole premise of Bleak House is the there. If you don't know, it's like there's this inheritance, this huge inheritance that no one knew where it was supposed to go to, but at the end, of course, the attorneys got it all. I hate Dickens in general. It's not for everyone. Have beautiful cloth edition of Bleak House with the original artwork, but haven't read it yet. I'm kind of curious about the artwork. Okay. Cost me $30. Well, sometimes it's just nice to have a nice edition of a book that's beautifully bound and with illustrations. But yeah, if you spent 40 or $30 and it's beautiful, you might as well try to read it. Maybe you'll like it. Oh, the Slade is gone. Oh well. I put a little purple over here. We'll see. If I remember correctly, one had a deformed face or something. She was the sickly sweet one. Lori is in the house. Dickens loved orphans. Definitely tried to shed light or throw light on some social injustices that was quite endemic at the time, like workhouses, child labor, that type of thing. Interesting story about Dickens I heard was when he Oliver, the Fagin character, when I forget, someone pointed out to him that this could be like a Jewish stereotype. So he wrote a book sort of to counter his own depiction of a stereotype. Was it Little Dorette? Little Door or the shop across? I don't know. One of the stories he wrote was in response to the anti-Semitic, wasn't really anti-Semitic, but the Jewish stereotypes that he was accused of promulgating, and he didn't. And I guess he saw that in himself and tried to address that. Okay. Oh, I missed a lot of stuff. I have another book to read called The Dickens Boy about the teenage son he sent to Australia to get rid of him. Gosh, no idea about that story. Have a beautiful edition of Middlemarch, too. Two of his sons ended up in Australia. What was wrong with the kid? Was it out of wedlock? Yeah, he didn't really treat women well. I mean, he wrote, for the time, he wrote some strong women characters, but who's the actress? Miriam Margolis, who's like doing a one-woman show about Dickens' female characters. Dickens thought he would amount to anything. Aussie was kind of a dumping ground for misfits. Yeah, definitely Australia. Where characters from all the books interacted. I think I remember seeing that. Dickens Senia. Little Barrette. That's the one with the Jewish character. Yeah, Dickens also. Yeah, like I said, he was with the women in his real life. Sid had a son he was so ashamed of. He asked him to change his last name. Oh, that's wild. And then his wife lived in poverty. Book written by Thomas Kennelly, who wrote Schindler's Ark. Read Confederates by Kennelly and liked it, though not one of his most popular. Why is that familiar? Not Schindler's Ark, but Confederacy. I'm thinking of Confederacy of Dunces. I'm thinking of something totally different. Okay. Okay. Now I'm just going to do a little bit of purple to see how it blends. Okay. I think I'm done with that, but I'm not quite done with the eyes. Also read another book by Aussie Land author about American Old West. Absolutely loved it. I need to read more Australian fiction. I read plenty of Australian nonfiction. I don't know why, but Australian has produced some good fantasy authors, in my opinion. I don't know about science fiction or other speculative works, but Freddie Canavan is Australian, and it's Elizabeth Hayden or Sarah Douglas. I keep mixing them up. I love Confederacy of Duns. That's lots of classic. Oh, thank you, Lori. Yeah, I'm ashamed to admit that I shop at, I think Shine, one of them, but you can get these for like $5 or under 10, certainly. Heart of the Country by Greg Matthews. Oh, Greg Egan. What? Gosh, he's one of those authors where I think I've read him. I've certainly seen him on the shelves, but I just can't remember of a title. Like Jane Harper from Australia. I know a former YouTuber who can't be named. Oh, I know who you're talking about. Don't know. He also wrote SF. Would have to look him up again. Okay, so we're going to do the under eyes. Actually, not the fine. Okay, he could be one of those authors that I've read and just forgotten about. Because that's an old name. And for those of you just joining us, didn't see the beginning, I've started Slan, the book I picked for the 1941 Hugo nominees, and I think I've read it already. But I can't remember anything specific. It's just like I'm just having this major deja vu. Like I'm not remembering any of the details, but I am remembering the plot. But who knows? It could be a totally different book. Let's. I'm going to actually do some. Okay, so I think we're done with the eyes. I have 2 Jane Harper books on my TBR list. I've not read that person. Egan is brilliant, but too difficult to read for someone like me. Read by Harper, pretty good. My favorite is The Lost Man. His books sound difficult. I need to look him up. Lost Man is on my TBR. Well, Mac and Frank, do not try. There isn't one. There's so many authors out there. We don't have to try them all. Okay, question is, do I want purple lips? May as well. May as well. Or red. Red or purple? I feel. I just got too shiny. Okay. Purple. He was trained as a mathematician, computer scientist, and his books are that hard. I don't know if I'd find that enjoyable. Okay. You want to see purple lips. Okay, well, far be it from me to disappoint. Heck, it's this. Oh, that's blue. I watched a video by a woman who complained how anti-intellectual booktube was becoming, but I think she was mainly having a go at romantasy. Yeah, romantasy is not for me, but I will say, if it gets people reading, that's a good thing. What I hope will happen with romantasy is it will bleed off the adult readers who read young adult. Because young adult is a children's category. People seem to forget it. People seem to forget that, but it's for ages allegedly 13 to 18. But people who, especially people who've like started with Twilight, have just, even as adults, never gone beyond or still read young adult books. And now, like 50%, something like 50% of young adult readers are adults, which is crazy. But it's definitely warped these books that are supposed to be targeted for children. Because publishers aren't going to complain. If adults start buying children's books, they're not going to complain. They're going to say, also means they'll start catering to that market. But hopefully, like I said, romantasy will be the bridge for those adults that keep reading young adult, maybe get them to get over that. She only reads magazines now, but mostly for the pictures. Hey, Tim wrote a romantasy called Warlock Love because I was so fascinated by Bewitched. I love that. But I was little me too, and wondered what it would be like if the situation was reversed. Oh, I love that. Too much description can be boring. I think it just depends on the writers because gosh, these lips. Because you hear so much about, oh, don't info dump. Well, Tim knows this. If you're a writer, you always hear that. But sometimes I read something and it is so interesting, like A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. I was like reading about this history and this magic book or this magic system, and it just kept going and going and going, and I was fascinated. And then I finally said, wait a minute, this is a freaking info dump, and I am loving it. What is going on? So rules are meant to be broken, is what I'm saying. I don't know if I like these lips. Let me lighten them a little bit. She read mysteries, but she also read that series about prehistoric people. Oh, Clan of the Cave Bear. Oh, that was so big in, God, 70s, 80s. Tolkien did very long descriptions. I love Tolkien. Light in the Forest, only YA book I have bought. Really nice edition made in Germany. Oh, yeah, Cave Bear. I like description because it helps me visualize the world it is set in. Reading Empress makes me wish I was a set director in a movie. Would make a gorgeous movie. Agreed. Did read most of Tolkien way back when, but never any after that. Well, there's really only Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. I wouldn't. I mean, I've read The Silmarillion, which is like a textbook, and he wrote some other children's books. Farmer Giles the Ham, something like that. The one with the blunderbuss, but they're obviously for children. Oh, forced. Really? I'm sorry you were forced. Sound good. She was wild. I haven't heard that. I love Bewitched and Elizabeth Montgomery. I read The Hobbit a few years ago, but it's been about 30 years since I read Lord of the Rings. It's been a while since I've reread Lord of the Rings, but I've read it quite a few times. Um, want to put a shimmer on the lips. Hold on. Let me think about this. Yeah, that's good. I mean to take so long on these lips, but okay. They make two different film trilogies of the original. Hate the idea of sandworms. Oh, I love Dune. 25 years ago, it seems like only yesterday. Yeah, that is crazy. New Zealand landscape, incredible, great choice. So, regarding if we're talking about Lord of the Rings, there was an animated version of The Hobbit by Rankin and Bass back in the 70s, which is actually my favorite um, rendition of or adaptation of The Hobbit. Um, but then they tried to do Lord of the Rings um, as an animated movie. It wasn't Rankin and Bass. It was Bakshi, the guy who did Wizards, the movie Wizards, which is really good animated sci-fi fantasy movie, mostly fantasy. Anyway, um, he was famous for combining like actual footage with animation, like live action with animation. Anyway, I mean, in an weird artistic sense. I was really into the movie. I was so excited there was going to be a Lord of the Rings movie. Um, and I didn't care if it was bad or not, but apparently it was bad. Because the sequel, he was going to do like two parts. Um, the sequel never got the part two never got made, but the the Rankin and Bass people, I don't know how they decided to do this, but they did. But they went ahead and then the Return of the King as in the same animated format that they did the Hobbit movie, which I think it's the best adaptation of the Hobbit, but it didn't really work. That type of sort of children's fairy tale animation didn't really work with Return of the King. Not to mention, they never did the first part, so there was never a matching first part of Lord of the Rings, and it was a musical. It's really weird. But it has the famous uh, line or the famous song where um, Sam and Frodo were being marched by the orcs uh, to Mount Doom, and they were singing a song calling "Where there's a whip, there's a way." Ridiculous. But if you like The Hobbit and you like animation, you have to check out the Rankin and Bass Hobbit movie. My favorite movie ever, Doctor Strangelove. That is so good. With the Peter Sellers, it's remarkable, and the whole thing about the bodily fluids. But my favorite is who was the guy in the bomber that rode the bomb down? I want to say George Kennedy, but they can't be right. Or Slim Pickens. Yeah, Slim Pickens' greatest role. Yeah, the first two Godfather movies are great. Yeah, yeah. But there is that second Return of the King musical. It's been many, many years since I watched Doctor Strangelove. My favorite movies are Little Big Man, Monty Python, and The Holy Grail. Both fantastic movies. I mean, I've said this before when I saw Monty Python and The Holy Grail on PBS when I was pretty young, but I almost peed myself. I thought it was so funny. I think the funniest movie, in my opinion, ever made is What's Up, Doc, with Barbara Streisand and Ryan O'Neal. Just as a story, well, everything works for me, but especially the storytelling. Just the way they set up the farcical nature of that story was brilliant, and it was one of Madeline Kahn's first roles and one of her greatest roles. This huge wig in another movie that I think is hilarious, but no one else does. At least I haven't heard anyone else loving this movie as much as I have. Is The Man Who Knew Too Little by with Bill Murray. Every time I see that, I laugh. This hair. Let me zoom out a little. Okay. And I put on some gloves. I own it now, along with a very few other films. Yeah, Little Big Man. Everyone should see it. Agreed. I never read the book by Thomas Berger. Slim Pickens refused to work with Kubrick. Why? The Bill Murray film. Chief Old Lodge Skins is even better in the book. I mean, what was Slim Pickens known for other than Dr. Strangelove? Was he on Hee Haw? You should be grateful for Kubrick for getting his role, or is it because he didn't like how Kubrick treated him, which is a whole different story. Guys, this is the final look. It's I did the purple eyes with the silver lid, which is very traditional, and some purple lips, and a big old purple wig. Royal purple. Yeah, The Man Who Knew Too Little was the Bill Murray movie that I just think is so funny. I like it better than Groundhog Day. And I mean, the whole premise is just, I guess it's the same joke about a misunderstanding, but it's just so funny. Guys, today I'm going to be filming Shove It or Shove It for May. I'll release Shove It or Shove It for April this week. And then the following week, I have some genre films in the can, and then I want to start filming yet another Hugo retro Hugo 2 video, and I want to finish Slan and do a video on that. So we'll see how it goes. Slim Pickens, The Outlaw and Jersey Wales. I don't know. I'm not a Slim Pickens expert on his filmography. Guys, thank you again for joining us. As usual, may all the books you read be blessed.